The British royal family may have just gained a new prince, but that's not the part that has royal watchers talking. For years, Prince Harry dominated headlines after walking away from royal life. But now, another young royal is quietly stepping into the spotlight, and some commentators believe his rise could reshape conversations about the monarchy's future. His name is James Mountbatten Windsor, and the decision he's reportedly made has sparked a debate that reaches all the way to Buckingham Palace. So who is Prince James? Why is everyone suddenly talking about him? And why are comparisons with Prince Harry becoming impossible to ignore? Let's find out. When people think about the younger generation of British royals, names like Prince William, Princess Catherine, Prince George, and even Prince Harry usually dominate the conversation. But there is another royal who has spent most of his life away from the spotlight. James Alexander Philip Theo Mountbatten Windsor, the son of Prince Edward and Sophie, Duchess of Edinburgh, has largely grown up out of public view. Now that he has reached adulthood, attention is turning toward what role he might play in the future of the monarchy. And some royal commentators believe his choices could have significant implications for King Charles's vision of a streamlined royal family. Let's get into it. He, royal, nobody was, talking a boot. For much of his life, James Mountbatten Windsor was one of the least discussed members of the royal family. As the youngest child of Prince Edward and Sophie, he was raised with far less media attention than many of his cousins. Unlike William and Harry, James rarely appeared on magazine covers. Unlike Harry and Meghan, he was never at the center of controversy. And unlike the Wales children, he has largely lived outside the intense public spotlight. That was exactly how his parents wanted it. Prince Edward and Sophie made a conscious effort to give both of their children a relatively normal upbringing. They emphasized education, privacy, and independence rather than royal status. For years, that approach seemed to work. But everything changed when James reached adulthood. He title question. One of the most interesting royal debates surrounding James centers on titles. Under long-standing royal rules established during the reign of King George V, grandchildren of a monarch through the male line may be entitled to use the style of prince or princess and the title His or Her Royal Highness. That has led royal watchers to ask a simple question. Would James choose to use a princely title? The question became even more interesting because his parents had previously suggested that their children would likely pursue ordinary careers and live largely outside the traditional royal system. His sister, Lady Louise Windsor, has continued using her current title rather than adopting a princess title. That decision led many observers to assume James would do exactly the same thing. But reports and speculation surrounding his future role have kept the conversation alive. And that conversation is really about something much bigger than a title. It's about the future shape of the monarchy itself, King Charles's big plan. For years, King Charles has been associated with the idea of a slimmed-down monarchy. The basic concept is simple: fewer working royals, lower costs, a smaller public-facing institution, a more modern royal family. Supporters argue that this approach makes the monarchy more efficient and easier to justify in the modern era. But critics point out a potential problem. If you reduce the number of active royals too much, who takes on the workload? Royal engagements, charitable visits, diplomatic events, and public appearances require people. Lots of people. That is where discussions about James become so interesting. If he eventually chooses a more visible royal role, he could become part of the next generation supporting the monarchy. And that possibility has fueled intense speculation among royal commentators. He inevitable Harry comparison. Whether fair or unfair, almost every discussion about younger royals eventually circles back to one person, Prince Harry. Since stepping back from royal duties in 2020, Harry's relationship with the royal family has remained one of the most talked about stories in the world. As a result, any younger royal who appears willing to embrace royal responsibilities is often compared to him. For some commentators, James represents a very different path, a quieter path, a less dramatic path, a path focused on duty rather than headlines. Others argue that such comparisons are unfair. After all, James and Harry grew up under completely different circumstances. Harry was born as the son of the future king and spent decades under intense media scrutiny. James has enjoyed a far more private upbringing. Still, the comparisons continue. And as James grows older, they are likely to become even more frequent. WHO Ice James, really? Beyond the titles, the speculation, and the headlines, there is a simple reality. James is still a young man finding his place in the world. He has focused on education. He has largely avoided controversy. And unlike many modern public figures, very little is actually known about his personal ambitions. Will he pursue a traditional career? Will he enter public service? Will he eventually become a working royal? Right now, nobody outside the royal family truly knows. What makes him fascinating is precisely that mystery. In an age when every celebrity shares every detail of their lives online, James remains something of an unknown figure, and that rarity has only increased public curiosity. W8Y Watchers, ARE, paying attention. The story of James Mountbatten Windsor isn't really about a title. It's about what comes next. The British monarchy is entering a period of generational transition. King Charles is on the throne. Prince William is preparing for the future. Prince George, Princess Charlotte, and Prince Louis represent the next generation. And somewhere within that evolving picture stands James. Not at the center, not in the spotlight, but potentially important. If he chooses a public role, he could help support the institution during a period of enormous change. If he chooses a private life, he will continue the path his parents envisioned for him. Either way, his decisions will be closely watched. Because every choice made by the younger generation helps shape what the monarchy will look like in the decades ahead. One thing is certain. James Mountbatten Windsor is no longer just the quiet royal in the background. As he enters adulthood, royal watchers are paying closer attention than ever before. Whether he embraces a larger public role or chooses a more private future, his journey could tell us a great deal about where the monarchy is headed next. What do you think? Should James take on a bigger role within the royal family? Or should he continue living largely outside the spotlight? Let us know in the comments below. And if you enjoy in-depth royal analysis, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss the next royal story.